How do you like my new hairstyle? I got tired of my long hair, so now I have a bob. Do they call this a bob? I'm gonna call this a bob. Welcome back or welcome anew. My name is Daria, and as a creator and a graphic designer, I'm not a big follower of design trends. I prefer to follow my own creative direction, gut feeling, call it whatever you want, okay? The best way to interact with trends is not just blindly follow them, but interpret them through the lens of your own personal and professional experiences. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. I've collected 5 design trends from 2026 that I found to be particularly interesting and exciting to experiment with. I will introduce each segment as a trend, give a short overview of what is it about, what it's influenced by, where is it coming from, and then I'm going to create a poster based on that trend. To keep some visual consistency across this trend series, I'm going to be creating exactly the same poster, meaning the context of it is going to stay the same. To be able to then compare the same idea can look different across different trends. I'm going to take croissant as my design victim today. I'm just going to be designing posters about a croissant. I don't like them. I'm not a fan of them, but visually they look really appealing to me as a designer. Like, I love the shape of a croissant. Get yourself a delicious cup of something warm or cold. I have a short bread infused black tea. Smells delicious. Let's get into the review and creative experimentation with design trends for 2026. Kids core, child drawing core, naive core. I've heard so many names for this one. Doodle core is basically childlike. Everything is covered is in childlike drawings, in doodles, in very colorful handwritten fonts, overlain with some, maybe sans serif typography, abundance of color, shapes, brush-like textures, like crayons. It's like a visual chaos, but in a good way. It's looking very fun, as if your kid is 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. How old kids are when they start drawing, and they brought you this painting and you went and overlaid some typography over it. That's basically doodlecore. I would say in terms of the influence, my guess is that people just want to have fun with design, thinking like a kid, going with the flow, put it on a piece of paper, and you're satisfied with it, you're happy with it, and you're not being too precious about the result. I took the highest quality image of a croissant, cut it out in Photoshop, and pasted it into Adobe Illustrator. I started by outlining the shape with a brush tool to make it look like a doodle, typed in the headline using a clean sans serif font, and started creating a colorful chaos with various brushes like splatter, charcoal, and crayons. I changed the background to beige because I hate white backgrounds, wrote a little personal message, overlaid a paper texture, and here's the poster. Trapped in my childhood memories because mom used to order croissants in cafes all the time, but I still don't enjoy them. That's completely true. I made my croissant trapped with tons of random doodles. A little house that I remember as a kid. When I was doodling, I would always draw a little house. So yeah, here's my doodlecore interpretation of a croissant. Moving on to the next trend, it's called Grainy Gradient Blur. This one is the most, I would say, prominent of them all. Like, it's the one that I saw just everywhere and anywhere, people just applying it. And I would say applying it not just as itself, but combined with other trends and styles as well, which looks really, really cool. In terms of its visual attributes, bright colors, gradients used as the main objects, but also as the background, the noise filter, of course, because it's grainy gradient blur, so you apply the gradient and then you overlay a noise filter over it, and it creates that hazy, dissolved edges vibe. In terms of the influence, I'm not sure, but my take on it was inspired by tech blended with organic world fantasy, because most of these gradient blur designs are inspired by the flowers, the plants, the trees, all the abundance of color, gradient-like motifs that the organic world and natural world bring to us. I love this trend, so I cannot wait to see what we can do with our croissant and the gradient blur situation.
I started by creating a freeform gradient background and overlaid a croissant that I blurred in Photoshop. I experimented with various positioning, trying to make it look like it disappears behind the veil of the gradient, changed the colors, and scrapped the concept overall. Started again with a different croissant image, created a simpler monochrome gradient, applied the noise filter, and typed in guess who, because you can barely see the croissant there. Overlaid a see-through oilcloth texture, and voila. Very simple, but just enough.
I'm not 100% sure that this is the perfect and exact interpretation of this trend, but as I've said, trends are there to guide us. They're not there to set specific rules. I blurred the croissant, applied a little noise over it. The silhouette is there, but you cannot really see it. But that's my interpretation, and we're here to experiment and interpret rather than follow specific rigid rules. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this one, to be honest. The next trend, it's called blueprint, and this one is very different from the ones that we explored before. If we're talking about the origins of this trend, blueprint is the plan for engineering and maybe even architectural projects. It's like a very detailed, very perfectionist, very minimal, just outlines, annotations, technical drawings, minimal color palette, minimal stylistic elements, and I think it's gonna be fun to see how I'm gonna blueprint the croissant. Let's get into it.
Similar to the Doodle core, I started by outlining the croissant with the brush tool, found an image of the croissant's internal organs, and proceeded to outline that one as well.
I just realized that I have zero understanding of how to draw out the blueprints. There's probably gonna be nothing accurate about what I'm gonna be doing right now, so I apologize for that, but yeah.
I added the headline in a sketch-like serif font and tried to come up with as many annotations and details as possible, which took so much more time than I'd wanted it to. I decided to add the ingredients and recipe for a croissant, found those through ChatGPT, pasted them in using a handwritten font, overlaid a dusty texture, and signed it off.
You know what? This was more difficult than I expected it to be, but I'm quite proud with the way it turned out. And I think it looks quite cool. You know, believable, I would say. Let's move on to the next one. The next trend is called medieval tech, or more formally, this is really hard to pronounce, Neo-medievalism. Is basically taking the medieval type of design, black letters, maximalism in texture and graphics, gothic style, dark color palettes, you know, large, messy, chaotic typography and graphics, that type of stuff, and add a touch of modernity into it. This is probably the one that's the most out of my comfort zone out of all the trends that I found, because yeah, my design has nothing to do with tech, nor it has anything to do with mysticism and folklore and black lettering and all that kind of stuff. So, and also croissants, nothing to do with technology and mysticism, but we'll make it look fun. Where this trend is coming from? Well, my guess is that people are craving this sort of authenticity and craftsmanship and handmade feel. It's sort of a escapism from that minimal perfectionist type of design that we're seeing a lot in website design, advertisement, and all that kind of stuff. Let's see what we come up with in this challenge.
I found this serviette with a beautiful ornament so I could serve my croissant like a medieval lady. Image traced it and changed the colors. Typed in the forbidden treat in a black letter font referencing the apple as a forbidden fruit, and added a frame graphic for the subtitle. I decided to change the image and make it a bit more graphical by thresholding it in Photoshop. I realized that the color palette is not working for this style and shifted to black for the background and vibrant colors for the graphics. I overlaid the dusty texture, which made the poster look a bit more futuristic, and all done.
This is probably the worst that I've made so far, but honestly, this is my interpretation of this trend based on my personal style, and I think it kind of works because I love the combination of simple colors with black. I did use the ornaments, I did use the black lettering and all that kind of stuff, but also it's kind of futuristic in a way. Like, it looks a bit space-like, but also it's medieval, so I think it kind of works. And I love the pink croissant. It's like the main character energy. We have the final trend left. It's Y2K, meaning year 2000, collage revival. The attributes: 2D stylistics, so 2D dimensional kind of sticker-like graphics, maximalist, a lot of cutouts because it's the collage, paper-like torn paper, ragged paper textures, overlaying of objects. I, as a designer, love grid-based layouts, the objects being in alignment. I hate visual chaos. I remember back at university when we were doing mood boards, people used to do like chaotic mood boards, overlaying images over the images, and that was kind of like fashion-like style. I hated that. All of my mood boards were perfectly and neatly organized images with equal space between them. So this style is not my thing at all, but at the same time it's exciting because it's a challenge. In terms of where this trend is coming from, I think Y2K is overall just has been back for years now, being a bit chaotic, not being perfectionist. People are craving that sort of thing. Many of us are tired of minimalism because it's been around for ages. So I feel like Y2K is bringing that sort of authentic, more charismatic type of style and design. Let's see what we can do.
I started by creating the title using the envelope distort feature and applied gradient for the background, which I saw on many magazines from that era. Did not like the graphic and spent good 20 minutes choosing a font, which I'll end up changing again later. Image traced the croissant to create an offset path and make it look like a sticker, and created a little sticker with the envelope distorted title I had in the beginning. Replicated the barcode from the magazines, typing in made in Paris because it's croissant we're talking about here. Added some copy inspired by fashion magazines and overlaid a texture which made the graphics look a bit washed out. I decided to apply a little kiss moment as a logo for my fictional magazine cover, and I felt like something was missing, so I found this image of a mouth which made the whole composition look very Y2K and glamorous.
Okay, let me just say that this turned out much better than I expected it to. I took some references from fashion magazines of that time. I think it was a good creative direction for this situation. And also, I love editorial. I'm not a fan of, again, as I've said, I'm not a fan of just collages, like overlaying images. I need some context, like a story, let's put it this way. So yeah, magazine cover it is. I hope you enjoyed this creative review of design trends for 2026. Let me know in the comments down below this video which trend you liked the most. I think my favorite one is the Y2K one. This is very unexpected. That's all I have for today. Subscribe for more creative reviews and design with me videos. Discover my portfolio on Instagram, DM me on Instagram if you have any questions, or just let me know in the comments down below this video. And yeah, I'll hope to see you in the next one. Bye.